Everyone, let me share with you a way to hack your brain, as the current buzzword is, and some things that very few people know. In fact, I know most 99% of the psychologists, 99% of the hypnotists, and or NLP practitioners or personal coaches don't know this information. They know part of it, but they don't know the whole bits of information. Well, what we have to do is look at, how do you create thoughts in your mind? What happens to get you to either take action, not take action, sabotage, do all these things that is going on? Well, there's a couple of things going on. Generally, they would say, your words, the words you're talking to yourself, whether you want to call that internal dialogue, internal representations, those words and or images create your thoughts, right? And that's true. And then your thoughts, those words and images, will create your feeling, right? And if you keep it a little while, your feeling creates your mood. Now, but what a lot of people don't know, these are all linked together in a different way. When something happens to put you in a bad mood, something sets you off on a bad mood, your thoughts change, your images change, all this. Now you're in this spiral going that way, right? But same thing, you could be in a bad mood, something good happens, it changes your mood, changes your internal dialogue, changes your images, and it can change your feeling. If you keep this long enough, you end up getting a temperament. And what is your temperament, right? Well, that is, are you positive? Are you negative? Do you look on the bright side? Do you look on the bad side? Do you attack a problem or do you get frustrated? These are just temperaments. Yes, these can change if you know how. And in part two, we'll go into how the missing ingredient to the next level of creating your personality and all the things that will make it more long term. We'll do that in part two of this little series I'll be doing. But what we can do, and a lot of coaches now would say, change your dialogue, use affirmations. Affirmations don't work 95% of the time. And I'll probably share that in part three. But, there's a way you have to do them. And to the best of my knowledge, only one or two people on the planet teach it the right way to switch those, if you want to call it affirmation. I just call it the words and pictures in your head. But most people don't know how to do that. And so even if you change the words and you do it in the proper manner, but if, when I say affirmations generally don't work, how many people have practiced affirmations? I'm attracting money, I'm successful, I'm fit and thin, and they can do it over and over again. Doesn't seem to work. They might get a little boost here and there, but not generally. Well, there's an inner secret we'll share. But even before all of this, and this is the secret that very few people know, that even changing those inner words, that dialogue, even the representation is good, but something happens sometimes even before that. And what that is, it's a subconscious or preconscious thing that hits your brain that will start your words and your images. It sets your mood and your temperament. All of that will happen quickly. Your feelings, your words create generally people teach your words, create your thoughts create your feelings, then down that. But what would happen if you just wake up in a bad mood, right? Or something happens, suddenly you're feeling bad, and then it starts down this path. You can't track it consciously, because what happens is what's happening in the preconscious mind. Just like my clinical expertise as a psychologist is addictions. And in addictions, we talk a lot about relapse prevention and things like that. Very few people in the addiction world will talk about prelapse conventions. Again, it's the way the words work. What prelapse is that the things that happen before you even start down the path of relapse, right? And so what I'm going to give you here is some prelapse prevention to stop your bad moods. First of all, part of it's being aware. And this goes back to a study they did that was fascinating. They took a group of kids, it was in college, graduate students. And what they would do is they walk up to somebody in the college campus and they'd be busy, like can happen. You got your phone, can you, and you're trying to do, can you hold this for a second? They're holding the cup. Let me, get my keys, do something. And most people are nice. First part of the study, they found out most people go, sure, I'll help you out, right? So they're holding it, right? That was group one. Group two, same thing, but group one held a hot cup of coffee. Group two, same thing. Excuse me, can you hold this for a second? I got to get my assignment or my keys, whatever. Hold this. And it was a cold cup of coffee. Well, that's part one of the study. And as everyone knows, if you're ever on a college campus, and especially one that has graduate and doctorate programs, if somebody comes up and asks you a question, it's probably not exactly what it seems, right? They're doing a study, right? Especially the psychological department, sometimes the sociological department, right? So anyway, what they did is then they go up to that person later and say, hey, excuse me, we're doing an experiment. All we want you to do is, will you read this little story? It's like 3 paragraphs, and then answer 3 questions, give you $5. This was done a long time ago. And of course, $5 on a college campus, especially say 20 years ago, that'll get some attention, right? And again, people are nice, so they would read the thing and answer the questions. Well, what they found, and here's the study, I'll link it in and wrap today up, is the people that held the hot cup of coffee, when they were asked about the story they read, exact same story, both groups, the person that held the hot cup of coffee or the very warm one attributed warmth attributes to this story, like the lead, the heroine, or the lead of the story was considered warm, helpful, nurturing, yada yada yada, attractive, stuff like that, right? And the second group, same story, nothing changed, that held the cold cup of coffee. It was generally found that the person was attributed, the protagonist was cold, aloof, distant, not attractive. Interesting. The only difference was the pre-conscious setup, the pre-stuff that's going on, right? As our friend Cialdini would say, it was the pre-influence going on, and so that's what can happen, right? So if you could try to track that down, sometimes I don't think those college kids, if they'd have been asked, would have been aware of it, because then what happens, if that happens, your brain doesn't maybe even link the two, and then you're down a different path, so to speak, right? And so what I want you to think about is how this stuff affects you. This is what, in one of the future videos, I'll talk about why it's so important to preload everything that you do and set yourself up in a different way to help you get towards success, whether it's changing a bad habit, overcoming an addiction, increasing your businesses, increasing your communication styles. All of this can happen, yes, partially by changing your words and your images, which will change your thoughts, which can create your feelings. And then there's a few other steps, right? That'll help, but also be aware that you want to front load it even as much as you can subconsciously. So that's my tip for the day, is become aware of that. But it is, the words that you say to yourself, the images that you use, that creates your thoughts. Your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create your mood, and then down the line that we'll go into in part 2. I just wanted to put that out there. Make sure if you like this kind of information, subscribe to this channel wherever you're seeing it. Make sure you pass it on to your friends. It's just some cool information. I love teaching this stuff. And of course, you can always reach me if you have other questions, or questions about the other stuff that I do. This is what I do from the clinical psych world, neuro-linguistics, hypnosis, and advanced persuasion at the subconscious level. So if you have any questions, just reach out and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.